Okay, so to answer your first question, the background is different because while I was playing chess with Peekapool, I was being a goober and just swapping through a bunch of different backgrounds and misplaced the one I had been using. It's lost in the depths of my PC. So, new background, I think it's nice. Secondly, I know 90% of you have no idea what Ape Escape is, and the 10% who do aren't too familiar with Pumpkin Prime. Suffice it to say, this was the party game Dr. Crimson and I had ages ago. On a side note, if I ever do upgrade to a better PC, I'd love to try and recreate this. Linked in the description for supporting my mad dreams, of course. Casi, PL-11, an artificial intelligence created by the professor. She loyally serves him and is generally a good person. It should be noted here that the aforementioned game takes place in a digital environment, thereby allowing Casi to be playable. Including her would require the same of your campaign. This is simply a side note though. Her only true notable complication is the limited use of specials. Think of these as final smashes from Smash Bros. Stats. There's no reason to believe she's quote-unquote physically stronger than your typical Ape Escape protag, other than the fact she could technically take control of her avatar and make herself as strong as she wants, or at least I think that would be the case. Her intellect and awareness should be top priority either way. For the same number of points as Ritualist, we take a feature allowing us to do precisely that with a programming skill. This was required at the ending cutscene. Safe fall. Fall damage typically wasn't a thing, save for bottomless pits. However, there was another cutscene where she specifically used this. Ape Escape always uses a series of tools called gadgets, and in Pumpkin Prime, every character brought their own variation of 5 of these gadgets. Cassie's variation of Stun Club was the only one that was ranged, so we're just going to combine that with her variation of Slingshot since they're the same thing in terms of concept. Star Dash was your dash hoop equivalent. I forgot the name of her Skyflyer equivalent, but that's a boost to jump followed by gliding, and Sprite, her RC car equivalent that is essentially summoning a controlled bomb-bomb. Fun fact, I had to boot up my old PS2 to find the names of her gadgets and specials. I actually can't find them online. That's how niche I'm working today. And the specials. GMs, don't get scared at the words time control. This is simply a temporal snare that lasts 3 seconds tops. I've also considered teleport linked to a multi-attack effect on her star arrow, alternate effect quickness. This would be to get not a true pause on the flow of time, but rather the effect thereof, suddenly being in another place, suddenly having things done as free actions and so on. Gravity control essentially means everyone around Casi is slower for a couple more seconds than time control. Looking back, this concept would be cheaper with enhanced trait agility, but I'd be spending 40 points on something with 3 alternate effects either way. Gadget control. I would say shutdown of devices, but the monkey's equivalent to Stun Club is a big stick. Monkey can still walk during gadget control, but can't swing big stick. So yeah, this nullify shuts down a lot of things, and looking back, your GM will almost certainly require the broad modifier. And as I read this out loud, I see this needs fine-tuning. I'm sure you see the general concept though, so we'll move on to input control. This can be done one of 2 ways: a controlled affliction limited to reversing intended movements, or the silly way, nullify movement, flaw, randomize. Dr. Doom will have no idea where he's about to fire his ray gun at. Maybe himself? If you go the silly route as I did, perhaps the GM will simply increase the DC to hit literally anything, with a roll of 1 causing damage to the controlled character. Again, this lasts but a few seconds. The only reason I don't have athletics and acrobatics higher than this is to meet that even multiple of 15 in terms of points. Casi gets triple jump, need I say more. Assessment to go with that insight, a cutscene before a boss fight led me to believe this is appropriate. Attractive too, I wanna brush her hair. Contacts and connections, she has friends. Improved aim, that's actually a thing in Ape Escape. You hit a button and it goes first person for you, and then you can spend too much time trying to snipe someone. And equipment. If you're familiar with Ape Escape, you know that sometimes you get to use your vehicles, and Casi comes with her own variants. Now, where do you even use this? You could just rename her, rewrite her story and descriptors, and have an original character. I assume that's what happens with most of the character sheets I put out anyway. She could also be an NPC in Sword Art Online, like Yui, or she could be a fourth wall breaking character with access to some game files like someone else we know. Speaking of Monica, part of why I've suddenly been determined to put this together was to create a combination of Monica and Casi for a player character for myself. Of course, keeping such a concept inside a reasonable PL has been challenging. You'll know if I succeed.